What's going on, guys? Good Mike Work Commentaries back at you, and we are on the home stretch to WrestleMania 40. We are less than 1 week away from the show of shows. Happy WrestleMania week, by the way, coming at you Monday morning, a few hours before tonight's live Go Home Raw. By the way, we will be here live on YouTube immediately following tonight's Raw to talk about it. So make sure you join us for that. It's been a heck of a month here on the channel. I want to thank all of you for your support and your great feedback so far on all of the videos we've done for Mania month, all of our YouTube collaborations, our podcast, our Raw reviews and whatnot. Really happy that you guys were able to join us for all of that. It's been a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to this weekend. So make sure you join us both on night 1 and night 2 for a full live watch party and recap. It's going to be a blast and a big party up in here, and I'm looking forward to it. So I thought the best possible final WrestleMania themed video to give you guys this year would be the top 10 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. I've really been looking forward to doing this video because when it comes to lists like this, if you see top 10 WrestleMania matches on other YouTube channels, those are all going to be opinions. Those are going to be people's opinions on what they think the top 10 greatest WrestleMania matches are. But over here, you get nothing but facts. As we all know, I speak facts. That's all I do is speak facts. Usually once I speak a fact, Wikipedia will immediately update in real time to reflect whatever facts I'm speaking. And it will be no different with these matches here. So not only do I like to discuss and talk and chat about wrestling with all of you, I also like to educate. So not only am I going to go through what the 10 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time are, I also want to make sure that you guys remember these forever. So it would be really helpful if you would go find a sheet of paper or maybe a pen or maybe pull up your notes app on your phone and really write down what I'm about to tell you here, because this is all really important stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the top 10 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Number 10, Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg at WrestleMania 20. They were both so great that they were almost too big for the business. So the two of them got together ahead of WrestleMania 20, or at least the story goes anyway, and had a meeting and said, look, in order for the business to survive, we need to leave because we're too big for it. We're going to win all the championships. We're going to beat everybody, and we're just going to corner the market, and we're going to make wrestling stale. And we love wrestling too much. Brock really loved wrestling. He loved to travel. He loved going around the world and meeting people and mingling and being around lots of people in social settings. It was his dream. Goldberg was the same way. You know, Goldberg was so respectful to everybody that he came into contact with and never tried to act bigger than them or bully them. He was so humble. Brock loved to travel. The two of them really loved the business so much that they collectively decided to leave it so it would survive. To me, that was so selfless of both men to really put the business first. And I think the fans appreciated that as well. They were so appreciative of Brock Lesnar and Bill Goldberg going into this match that not even Stone Cold Steve Austin could ruin it. If you notice during the match, there was a lot of booing. The fans were booing Stone Cold Steve Austin because they didn't understand why WWE would want to stick him into a situation that has nothing to do with him. Nobody ever gave a shit if Bill Goldberg and Steve Austin wrestled each other. Who fucking cares? Everybody wanted to see Brock and Goldberg. And when WWE shoehorned Austin in as a referee, that New York crowd is smart, and they don't appreciate stuff like that. Austin was never over, no matter how hard he tried, especially in New York City. They just were not having it. They weren't buying it. They weren't buying it. And Austin was always just so despised by the wrestling audience that they let him know it in this match, and they booed Austin heavily. But, you know, with the New York crowd, you have to understand that just because they're booing the referee doesn't mean they're not appreciating the match. And with Goldberg getting the win and jackhammering and pinning Brock Lesnar, that really did surprise me, but at least it answered my question. Football players will always be able to defeat NCAA wrestling champions who are 10 years younger than them, always. And I'm glad that I finally got that question answered, and it was a great match. I wish I could put it higher on my countdown, but there's a lot of other great ones that we have to get into today. Number 9, The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, WrestleMania 9. You know, when you talk about The Undertaker's streak, this is one of the biggest matches in the streak here, because this was, much like Brock and Goldberg, the ultimate dream match. Giant Gonzalez was really dazzling me. I would watch him in WCW as El Gigante, and he was doing some amazing moves, and he was so athletically gifted that I wanted so badly for him to come to WWE one day. So a couple of years later, when he made his debut in the Royal Rumble, I was like, sweet, they've signed El Gigante. But what was even more impressive is that once Vince McMahon signed him, he spent the next several months completely transforming his body. I mean, he did not have much of a physique in WCW, but when he got to WWE, I don't know how many hours in the gym he must have spent to get himself shredded the way he did. This guy had a six-pack, beautiful, gorgeous pecs. He was in such good shape that hair was coming out of his shoulders. I mean, you talk about some of the crazy body transformations in wrestling history like Jinder Mahal and a lot of others that you guys can probably name in the comments below. Name me a better one than Giant Gonzalez. I mean, that was an unbelievable amount of personal dedication to make sure that when he is coming to the big time, when he's coming to WWE to work at WrestleMania, he needs to be in tip-top physical condition. And that is why I've always respected Giant Gonzalez as a professional a lot more than Undertaker. But despite, Giant Gonzalez really outshining The Undertaker in his star power and his athleticism and whatnot, it was still a really good match. Mark Calloway was still getting his feet wet a little bit. And, he was really overmatched here by Giant Gonzalez. But I thought they told a really, really nice story with this one, because sometimes you just don't want to see somebody get beat. It's not enough sometimes just to win or lose a match. As a kid, I used to always wonder why we didn't see more chloroform. I always wondered why nobody was busting out any chloroform, because that's what I would use. So I thought it was a perfect kind of 1-2 punch, trying to use chloroform on a dead guy and having the confrontation at the end. And Giant Gonzalez, when he gets clotheslined by The Undertaker, there's a wet spot in the ring. He actually falls backwards and falls down, and they acted like Undertaker did it, but it was just this wet spot or a banana peel or something like that in the ring. Ridiculous, but at the end of the day, it was a disqualification loss for Giant Gonzalez, but really, at the end of the day, he won over my heart because of the shape he was in and the brilliant strategy using chloroform. I think more wrestlers should utilize that. Rest in peace to Giant Gonzalez, a true icon. Number 8, Daniel Bryan versus Sheamus, WrestleMania 28. Man, this match was so beautiful. I was really looking forward to this match coming into it because, Sheamus was a rising star, and Daniel Bryan, if I had one complaint about this match, it would be that Bryan was given a little too much offense. Leading up to this match, it was becoming clear that Daniel Bryan didn't learn anything from The Miz. He didn't retain any knowledge that The Miz dispensed and gave to him for free. And I found that to be really insulting. So when we got into the WrestleMania match, I said, I don't want this little fucker to retain his title. He better not beat Sheamus. To me, that was just karma. He got what he deserved in this one, and he's lucky that the match wasn't even shorter than it was. But at the end of the day, still a really, really fun match, very exciting. And my favorite thing about that was the outcome. I remember doing my review that night, talking about how great it was that Sheamus beat Daniel Bryan so quickly, because nobody fucking liked Daniel Bryan. Nobody has any respect for him and how he is and his so-called ring work and all of that. So to watch him get beaten so definitively by Sheamus was something that made me so happy to see. I still shed a tear and think about it frequently. Whenever I'm sad or feeling down, I think about what a great night that was at WrestleMania 28 between Daniel Bryan and Sheamus, and how Daniel Bryan got exactly what was coming to him. Number 7, Charlotte Flair versus Rhea Ripley, WrestleMania 36. This one was so great. The atmosphere of this match, just the electricity, you could feel it in the air between Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. And there was no way these two women were going to go out there and have a bad match, even when the fans fucked up WrestleMania 36. All these fucking idiots went out there in the world and caught COVID. So when it came time to have WrestleMania 36, nobody showed up. Nobody was there. So you would think under normal circumstances that would ruin the show. And it did ruin a lot of the matches there except for one, Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. If you ask me, this match was more exciting with no fans there. And a lot of fans were worried. I remember when we were talking about this match going into it, they're like, God, Greg, do you think that Rhea Ripley is going to actually beat Charlotte? And I'm like, I hope not. And they're like, she better not, man. I think WWE is pushing Rhea Ripley way too hard, way too fast. And here, if she were to come in and actually beat someone, a real wrestler like Charlotte, who the fans are never tired of, Charlotte could literally be shoved down our throats and we would love every minute of it. You can never get enough Charlotte. So there was no way that the fans wanted to see Rhea Ripley, who the fuck kind of name is that, come into WrestleMania 36 and beat Charlotte Flair. Luckily, that didn't happen, but to Rhea's credit, she put up a hell of a fight. And the energy in the building that night, despite that all the fans were sick and nobody showed up, there was still just an aura, a vibe. And it's why WrestleMania 36 is one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time, just because of how great it felt. When you talk about WrestleMania, the Super Bowl of wrestling, you think WrestleMania 36. You think the Performance Center. Number 6, Butterbean versus Bart Gunn at WrestleMania 15. Oh man, I was proud to witness this one in person. I was very, very proud to be a wrestling fan on this night, because to me, wrestling fans and pro wrestling has always kind of been snickered at by the general public. Oh, it's fake. They're just fake fighting. They could never win any real fights. And so when we saw Bart Gunn mow through the field in the Brawl for All, beating people like Dr. Death, Steve Williams, who's the toughest person in the world. And once he beats Dr. Death, you're thinking, well, shit, Butterbean, Mike Tyson, there's nobody in any form of combat sports at all that could even stand a chance against Bart Gunn at this point. So they brought Butterbean back in, who already had a fight with Mark Marrow about a year earlier. And now it's going to be the winner of the Brawl for All against a professional boxer. And what made me so proud to be a wrestling fan that night is that it proved to all the people that, kind of thumb their noses at pro wrestling and think it's just fake bullshit. We proved on this night that if a wrestler gets in the ring with a professional boxer, they can last 11 seconds. 11 seconds. It's a long time. So I think the public really gained a lot of respect for Bart Gunn on this night. The fact that he gave Butterbean such a good fight and such a good run for his money. And then to find out after the fact that the only reason Butterbean won was because he tested positive for performance-enhancing cheeseburgers. And even with that knowledge, knowing that Butterbean kind of won the match under false pretenses, it was still just a beautiful fight, and it was a good day for wrestling. If you're a wrestling fan and a fan of pro wrestling, you stood tall and proud that day. Great stuff from Butterbean and Bart Gunn. Number 5, Hillbilly Jim, the Haiti Kid, and Little Beaver versus King Kong Bundy, Lord Littlebrook, and Little Tokyo at WrestleMania 3. This one was highly anticipated. The story they had been telling here for months between these 6 men was really, really compelling. And at WrestleMania 3, of course, Pontiac Silverdome, record crowd of 93,000 plus, all came primarily for this match. Granted, there was a couple of other good-looking matches on the undercard, like Savage and Steamboat and Hogan and Andre, but most people were really waiting for this match and for Little Beaver to get what was coming to him, because for weeks on TV, he was being such an asshole to King Kong Bundy. He was bullying him. He was making fun of him, flicking his ear and telling him he can't read good, and constantly just tormenting poor King Kong Bundy, who, at that time was just a couple of years into the business. He was still kind of shy, still kind of getting his feet wet, and he really wasn't feeling that much confidence, and for Little Beaver to take advantage of that, to take advantage of the younger Bundy and know that he can do that to him and abuse him in that manner, I think it finally just reached its boiling point with King Kong Bundy, to where at some point in life, we all have to go through this. At some point in life, you have to stand up to your bullies. And I think what was going on with Bundy and Little Beaver was a good lesson to a lot of kids, like my age, who I was only in, 5th grade at this time. And I had to deal with bullies in school. So I learned a lot from King Kong Bundy in what he did at WrestleMania 3 and how to deal with a bully, because at some point you all have to stand up to him. So luckily for King Kong Bundy, he's got a couple of wrestling legends like Little Tokyo and Lord Littlebrook to back him up. But Little Beaver went out and found himself a couple of thugs, Haiti Kid and Hillbilly Jim. So these two assholes are going to be joining up with Little Beaver, and they're going to kind of act as his protection. This had tremendous wrestling from a bunch of tag team specialists and a couple of really, really athletic cats in Hillbilly Jim and King Kong Bundy, but it also had the drama. It had the drama of Little Beaver fucking with Bundy the whole match. And, you know, I saw kids in the front row, like, really getting upset. They were starting to cry because of how badly Bundy was being abused by Little Beaver in this match. And he just kept smacking him. I think he took his shoe off and smacked him in the face. Humiliating stuff here for King Kong Bundy to have to endure. And watching this as a fan, it was just breaking my heart. I mean, it was absolutely heartbreaking. Nobody should have to go through this much pain and this much torture. And at some point, he just got lucky. I think Little Beaver kind of stumbled, and Bundy was able to grab him. And finally, he picked him up and he slammed him down, ending Little Beaver's ability to smack around and abuse him, because he fell a long way. And when he hit the mat, it stunned him. And then Bundy came in and hit him with an elbow, and that was so sweet. It was so awesome to watch Bundy hit an elbow on Little Beaver, that little piece of shit getting everything that he had coming to him. That elbow was for every little kid that got bullied in school. That elbow was for every little kid who got smacked around on the school bus. Every kid that was abused and tortured by bullies in school, that was for us. Bundy was standing up for us. And that's what made Bundy such a great professional, and what made me so mad. The only thing I didn't really like about this match at the end is when he finally went in to give Little Beaver a splash. And honestly, Little Beaver deserved 50 splashes. But unfortunately, Bundy couldn't even get off one because his chicken shit little partners dragged him out. It just annoyed me. But at the same time, it was great to see King Kong Bundy actually stand up to his bully and be able to fight and defeat his bully in a fight. Who cares that he got disqualified? It doesn't matter. That's not what it was about. It was about make good fight, earn respect. That's a Mr. Miyagi lesson, one that we should all learn and know. And Bundy applied that at WrestleMania 3. That was an amazing match and a beautiful moment that went on to inspire an entire generation of kids. Number 4, the Gimmick Battle Royal, WrestleMania 17. Finally, what makes this match so great and why it's so high up on my countdown is for years at WrestleMania, as wrestling fans, we used to always complain how much WWE was always relying on its current stars. It was always about the current stars. You know, they never brought in celebrities. They never brought back past legends. They never did anything that the fans really, really wanted to see. It was all about the top stars. Blah, 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 blah. And they would sometimes rely too heavily on their current stars. You know, why do you just have to use the people that are on your roster? Why are you limiting yourself to just the people on the roster? It gets old. It gets boring. We're sick of it. Bring in Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Can I get some Nick Turturro, please, up in here? What about some Rhonda Shear? Anybody, please. Fuck. Can we bring back Typhoon? Maybe Earthquake. Would be cool to see Brother Love again. But no, never. They never do it. They just constantly shove their silly little roster up our asses. Well, finally, the tables have turned. The Gimmick Battle Royal, WrestleMania 17. So great to see so many names from the past come back. I mean, we had people coming back for this show, like the great Duke the Dumpster Droese. We had Hillbilly Jim, Nikolai Volkov, Kamala, Sergeant Slaughter, Brother Love, the Iron Sheik, the Bushwhackers, the Goon, Doink, Earthquake, the Gobbledygooker, Tugboat. I mean, it was basically a who's who of legendary WWE stars that finally the fans got a chance to see again. Because, you know, why do you think 60-something thousand people showed up to the Astrodome that night? Not to see Austin and Rock. Houston, we have a problem. Yeah, Houston, we have a problem, all right. The two guys in your main event aren't over, you know, so why not bring back some stars from the past, maybe even celebrities, to spice up this show? And they put Mean Gene Okerlund and Bobby the Brain Heenan on commentary, which really, I think, helped elevate this match to legendary status. I mean, just on paper, it doesn't get any better than this. But when you add the cherry on top of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund, who spent so many years side by side together in the booth with great chemistry, you know, Gene and Heenan calling all of those WrestleManias together, and Gene's famous line of "Will you stop?" when Heenan would piss him off. It was just great stuff. So to see those two guys reunited was another treat in this one. And of course, the winner of this was going to be obvious. There was really only one winner that you could have, and that was the Iron Sheik. The reason the Iron Sheik was going to be your guaranteed winner here is because he was too athletic to be thrown over the top rope. If somebody would have thrown the Sheik over the top rope, the fans wouldn't have believed it, and they would have thought we were getting worked. He wins the gimmick battle royal, and finally, WrestleMania has a match where the former stars get the spotlight, because it had been way too long of all these current guys hogging all the limelight here. It was time to bring back some people who the fans really wanted to see. That's why the Gimmick Battle Royal is number 4 on my list. Number 3, Michael Cole versus Jerry the King Lawler, WrestleMania 27. I don't have to tell you guys how special this match was. For years, the fans have been waiting for this. We are on, at this point, our 27th WrestleMania. And after all of these years, for some reason, Michael Cole has never had a WrestleMania match. And I remember thinking all the way back at like WrestleMania 15 and 16, like, are we ever going to get Michael Cole in the ring? And it took us another 10 plus years for WWE to finally wise up and put him in the ring. Now, some fans didn't really love his opponent in this match. I had no problem with it. I thought Jerry Lawler made for a pretty good opponent because the two of them were, broadcast partners on Monday Night Raw. And it was getting really annoying having to watch Jerry Lawler constantly bully Michael Cole. It's kind of like what Little Beaver was doing to Bundy. A lot with the ear flicking. Lawler was constantly tormenting and fucking with Michael Cole. And as we got closer to WrestleMania and Jerry Lawler's bullying of Michael Cole intensified, you started thinking, could this be it? This might be it. It feels like they might be building for a match. And wouldn't it be cool if the match happened at WrestleMania and finally, after being in the business for so many years, Michael Cole finally gets a WrestleMania match? So I was looking forward to that. And then finally, when it was solidified that this is what they were going to do, I instantly knew that this WrestleMania 27 in Atlanta, was going to go down as one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. And it did. It did, solely behind the strength of this match. This match was so good that not even Stone Cold Steve Austin could ruin it. Austin, again, much like he did with Goldberg and Brock, just felt the need to insert himself into this match. I don't know why. The fans are just tired of him, but here he is again. You could see it in Austin's face. You could see it in Austin's face that Michael Cole was outperforming his WrestleMania 13 performance because Austin's demeanor immediately changed. And to see Michael Cole fighting for his life in that ankle lock, much like Austin was fighting for his life in the sharpshooter, only Michael Cole was making it way more believable. But, Michael Cole is fighting so hard. Jerry Lawler earlier on in the match used a tire iron on the ankle of Michael Cole when Steve Austin wasn't looking. So he cheated. Michael Cole's ankle was already shattered into a million pieces. Now Lawler has got the ankle lock on him. And it was only a matter of time before Michael Cole would just pass out from the pain, which is pretty much what happened. His body spasmed. It kind of looked like he tapped out, but it was mostly just him passing out and his muscles twitching. So Austin called for the bell. Jerry Lawler gets the big WrestleMania match upset, but really, I felt like Michael Cole was the star of this. Sure, Lawler got his hand raised, but I think we're always going to remember Michael Cole for how hard he fought in his very first and long overdue WrestleMania match, and fought his ass off so hard that not even the presence of somebody as disliked as Stone Cold Steve Austin could ruin that moment for Michael Cole. It was a beautiful match. Number 2, the Miss WrestleMania Battle Royal, WrestleMania 25. To me, when I think about this match, I think about the peak of women's wrestling. And this match had all of the greats from the past, the women that paved the way for the Kelly Kellys and the Candice Michelles and the Laylas and all of the other legends and Hall of Famers that were in this match. It was a mixture of the great stars of today and the women that paved the way for the bra and panty matches of the future. And what I liked also about this match was how they kind of combined all of the entrances. When Kid Rock was out there singing all of the women to the ring, and they all came out together because we know how much wrestlers hate the spotlight, especially women. Women do not like to be the center of attention. If anything, they would just like to sit in the background and not be noticed. You know, that's why they don't like to draw a lot of attention to themselves. They don't like to take selfies or anything like that. None of them have Instagram accounts. The fact that they just all came out there together was really nice. Kind of, unity, showing, that women collectively have made this division so strong, so powerful, so respected. And it was basically just, I think, a celebration of women's wrestling is what this match was. This is one of the best battle royals I've ever seen. I mean, you talk about hard-hitting intensity here. I mean, though, that's one word I would use to describe this, is intense. You could tell how badly each one of these women wanted it, how badly they all trained for months to get in shape for this match because of how much was on the line. If you win this match, you get a tiara. I mean, that's a huge deal. Plus, you get to be called Miss WrestleMania, and, who wouldn't want to be called that? So all of these women went through months and months of rigorous training. I think a couple of them even went down to Brazil and did like 3 months of hardcore jiu-jitsu training. I mean, they were ready. They were ready for this match, and they were all going to be fighting hard. And in the end, it was another one of these, kind of feel-good stories. We had this, in my opinion, this beautiful woman, this absolutely beautiful soul in Santina Marella, who is the twin sister of WWE star Santino Marella. And for years, Santina was always kind of teased and bullied for her looks, and, the fact that she kind of has some facial hair and stuff. None of this is her fault. And, she entered herself in this match knowing that she was going to be getting a lot of hate, from the audience, from the fans. Another example of just how evil and mean wrestlers and wrestling fans can be, just with the teasing, you look like a man and all that shit. It's just so immature, and she had to deal with so much of that. And the fact that this battle royal has got such high stakes, the fact that you get a tiara, this was going to be really important for her, because maybe if she were to win this and win the tiara, that would finally get fans to recognize her and earn her a little bit of respect, especially from her peers, because she didn't really have it from anyone. So it was really about her. The story was about Santina Marella. You watch her in this match, watch her, a little bit timid, but kind of gaining confidence as the match progresses, as more women start to get eliminated, and the longer it goes, Santina is hanging in there. I mean, she was a huge underdog going into this thing. Nobody had her even in the Final Four, much less winning it. So the fact that she got there right at the end, and she was in there last with Melina and Beth Phoenix, and last eliminating Beth Phoenix, which was so appropriate, because Beth Phoenix, as we all know, was only hired for her looks. She was only brought in to kind of be like a bubblegum chewing kind of bikini model with pigtails and stuff. And so that's exactly what a lot of wrestling fans didn't like about women's wrestling, is we had people like Beth Phoenix in it. So when Santina was able to eliminate, just the bikini model Beth Phoenix, who doesn't really know how to wrestle, that was the perfect final two to have. For Santina to be able to eliminate her, I think, is what made the victory so poignant and so special, was because of, the message that it sent, is that now finally women's wrestling was going to be on equal footing to men's. Because for years, the bra and panties and bikini matches was inching them up there. They were getting close, but Santina's victory really put them on even keel. And after this point, women were main eventing WrestleManias, and you look at the cast of characters and stars you have now in WWE: Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch. There are so many great women's wrestlers in WWE and AEW, and I think you can credit Santina Marella with all of this. Without this victory at WrestleMania 25, I don't think either AEW or WWE even has a women's division at all. And finally, the number one greatest match in WrestleMania history. It's an obvious one. You guys know what I'm going to say. John Cena versus The Rock, WrestleMania 29. This match, a rematch of WrestleMania 28 that I dare say eclipsed even that match. WrestleMania 28 was great. It was cool to see Rock and John Cena in the ring for the first time, and WWE giving the fans 10 months of feeling what it's like to watch something once in a lifetime. We got to feel that for 10 months. They taglined WrestleMania 28 once in a lifetime. And for 10 months, It was, until we got to the Royal Rumble and we realized we were going to get a bonus and they were actually going to give it to us again. And man, once it became clear that it was going to be The Rock and John Cena Part 2 at WrestleMania 29, I was like, oh, you cheeky shalags, you fooled me. You said it was going to be once in a lifetime and it wasn't. And you tricked me. And now I'm going to get it again. And I was as giddy as a schoolgirl to see this match again. The only thing that was making me nervous was what we all were reading on the internet. I was doing YouTube at the time. We talked a lot about it. We were all very worried that WWE was going to turn John Cena heel. And I think we can all agree that would have been the dumbest decision they could have made, to take John Cena, somebody who's been so over with this good guy, white meat, babyface, fruity pebble character, to think of John Cena taking off the wristbands and the bright shirt and the hat and all of a sudden being able to see him would have really been hard for me to stomach as somebody that loves John Cena as much as I do. And I did not want to see that. I was freaking out. Please, WWE, don't make the biggest mistake of your life and turn John Cena heel. We would be bored with it. There's no way that would be entertaining. The fans were not looking for change. The fans were really happy with the direction of John Cena's character. The more he was winning, the more he was getting over. And the fans didn't want that to stop. Why would you want that to stop? The fact that WWE even considered this is asinine. Why would you turn John Cena heel when so many people enjoy his work as a babyface? Particularly the fans between the ages of 18 and 25. John Cena was their guy. They loved him. And to take that away from your core audience would have been cruel, and it would have been foolish, and it would have drastically affected WWE's creative attendance and ratings. That would have been a horrible decision. It was much better to keep John Cena who he was. That way, when somebody starts to rise and starts to get over, they can lose to him. And that is the best position for John Cena to be in the company. And I guess at the 11th hour, the plan was to turn John Cena heel. And then finally, somebody with brains like Vince McMahon speaks up and says, guys, I don't think we should turn John Cena heel. And luckily the match went the way it should have, because I didn't want any funny business. I didn't want a heel turn. I didn't want outside interference. I didn't want anybody to cheat. I wanted a straight one-on-one match, clean in the middle, and I wanted the two guys to hug after that. If we would have gotten anything other than that, I think the fans would have rioted. I think if John Cena would have turned heel, or if we would have gotten some surprising outcome, you would have had a very angry MetLife Stadium, and WWE might have risked wrestler safety and whatnot. So it was probably best that they went in the direction they did. And I'm glad that they did, because Rock and John Cena had a beautiful match that night. It was very, very good. And what made this match so great was not necessarily what happened inside the ropes, but what happened in the finish and what happened after the match. Because leading up to the match, what was so great about the build is that you really didn't know who was going to win. Oh my God, The Rock beat CM Punk for the title. John Cena won the Rumble. Rock beat Cena last year, but shit, man, this really makes it a 50-50 toss-up. I don't know who's going to win, and that's when WrestleMania main events are the most fun, when you don't know who's going to win. When John Cena, juked out The Rock with the people's elbow spot from the year before, only this time tricking The Rock and then hitting him with the FU and pinning him. I don't think anybody thought that John Cena, after winning the Rumble, would actually beat The Rock for the title. And a lot of fans were surprised, but you could tell a lot of fans were really, really happy. And to see the moment between Cena and The Rock in the ring, where Rock shakes his hand, they celebrate together. Rock gives John Cena his due and his moment and his kudos, raising his hand, and they close out the show with the two men celebrating. That is what WrestleMania is all about. WrestleMania is not always about surprises and fun and roller coaster rides of drama and emotion. Sometimes WrestleManias are just simple, and I really enjoyed the simplicity of this, and I'm so glad WWE did not do anything crazy like end the Fruity Pebble run of John Cena, because that would have really pissed off their core demographic. So thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the top 10 greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Let me know what you thought. I know you guys are going to have the you forgots. Hit me with the you guys love the you forgots. So go ahead and hit me with the you forgots in the comments, because I know you will. Let me know which ones I forgot, but it doesn't matter which ones I forgot. This is my list. So I hope you wrote it all down. I hope you study it. There's going to be a quiz tomorrow. Thank you so much for being here, and make sure you stick with us for the rest of the week, because we're going to have a lot of fun here on WrestleMania week on the channel. I'm looking forward to it, and I can't wait to spend it with all of you. Have a great day, and happy April Fool's Day.